What's up, guys? T5MA Destroyer here. I haven't uploaded a video in about a week. The last video I uploaded was a closed beta Warface video. I was running an M4 with a rifle suppressor and a shared grip. I was going off. It was great. But today, this is what I've been waiting for. So, you would have thought I would have made this last weekend, but let me tell you what happened. So, me being the huge Call of Duty fan that I am, I pre-ordered Call of Duty Black Ops 4 before the beta was announced. Literally, probably one of the first days that it was available for pre-order. I was in GameStop, probably buying some PSN cards for some, sale on a PlayStation Store, or maybe something for UFC 3. But I pre-ordered the game before the beta was announced, and I never got to get a beta code for the first weekend. But right at the end of the first weekend of the beta, I was in GameStop trying to buy a new pair of Control Freaks for my controller, and the guy asked me if I wanted to pre-order anything, and I was like, hey, matter of fact, I pre-ordered Black Ops 4 before the beta was announced. I even called here, and I didn't even tell you that part of the story. I called the GameStop. They told me they couldn't give me a code, and there was a different guy working there. Normally I usually engage in conversation with a lot of the GameStop workers because they're normally pretty cool dudes, and we sometimes have the same interest. So, the last guy, I told him, I called here, they told me that, ran out of codes or something, and you don't run out of beta codes, you just don't want to do the work to give me one. It's a random number generator, come on now. But, so, all he did was just refund the pre-order back to me, and then use the $5 that he gave to me back on the pre-order in the transaction, and then handed me my code. So I never got to get access to the first weekend, but I am getting access to the second weekend, which I'm kind of happy about, honestly. I still got to play the game. I got to play a better, more stable version of the game, because I heard a lot of crazy stuff about, the first weekend of the beta. But just now to get into it. Now, what I'm going to tell you off the bat, this is my first game that you're watching right now that I played with my friends, 35-2, completely going off, okay? But what I'm going to tell you is, the thing about this game, there's going to be two groups of people in the Call of Duty community, and one group's going to love this game, and another group's going to hate this game. I am in the group that pretty much says that I don't want the same old classic Call of Duty every single year. I would like them to change it. I don't like Call of Duty World War II because it's just boring. That's just what happens when you take a game that should have came out in 2008 and put it out today. Maybe in 2008 or 9 that game would have been fun for me, but right now in 2018 that game is boring, and I don't ever want to see Call of Duty try to go that bare bones again. I really don't. So this game is completely different to any Call of Duty you've pretty much ever played. Obviously, it's got the smaller condensed maps, it's got the fast-paced gameplay, and it does these things like Call of Duty normally does these things, but to me, it does these things so much better. This game is by no means perfect, though, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. We're going to start with the really good stuff that I noticed from playing, I want to say about 7 or 8 hours of the game, maybe 10. I played a lot. I don't know. I don't know how much I have. I played quite a bit of the game so far, right? So, what I'm going to tell you is that the game is different, okay? It's different. It's not... The movement is like the number one thing about this game that I love. Okay, so is it boots on the ground? So a lot of you that have not played the beta or pre-order Black Ops 4, you're gonna think, even Eric said this, even for the first couple hours of you playing this game, even Eric said oh, it's just the same thing. Now I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, oh, it's just the same movement. But once you get the movement down, once you really learn how to maneuver, you're running faster, jumping higher, sliding farther. It's not necessarily advanced movement, but I like to call it a fun kind of movement. It's like you don't feel like you're playing with a regular soldier. You feel like you're playing with Captain America. Whether you like that or not, that's up to you. But that is like my favorite part about this game, because I feel like if you're gonna go with this futuristic kind of route and these, you know, special operatives, since this is supposed to be like a prequel to Black Ops 3, it kind of makes sense for some of these people to have some supernatural abilities. Maybe at this point in time, the supernatural abilities were just starting, because in Black Ops 3 they were complete superhumans that were pretty much, you know, war weapons. So you basically feel like you're playing with Captain America, and that's my favorite part about the game. Running around, moving around these maps, sliding, jumping. You can jump higher than usual, so a lot of windows you wouldn't be able to get into on World War II, you'll be able to jump and grab the ledge and pull yourself up in many situations, and it really helps. The specialists are kind of cool. Some of them just feel like free kills to me. The specialist is kind of like a in-between thing. I feel like it's good for like a competitive scene. It's good for the competitive scene because those guys are gonna, you know, find out the best team comp for the specialist on different maps, on different modes. I think that's good, but I feel like for the casual games, you know, just public matches, even me playing one of the, you know, objective-based game modes like Control most of the time, I really like this game mode. I'm gonna talk about that next. It felt, you know, it felt like we were still handing out free kills just like in Black Ops 3, and that's just because of, you know, when you put specialist weapons into the hands of the public, they're not pro players. They don't think like a pro player. They're not, you know, comp players at any kind of level, and they don't really think about when and when not is the greatest time to use a specialist. They just use it thinking, oh, here, free kills. Like, I don't think that's how they're intended to be used, but that is how they end up being used, and that's why I think we should ditch the specialist. But, I mean, for me, they're not entirely bad. I use the Annihilator the most because I feel like I like using it. I feel like it's a more skillful specialist weapon that actually takes you to, you know, ADS and actually hit your target. So, the specialists are kind of meh for me. But now let's talk about Control. This is one of the other cool things about this game. Control is like one of my favorite game modes Call of Duty's ever introduced. You know, World War II had their brand new war mode or whatever. Black Ops Black Ops 4 also has a game mode called Heist, which I will talk about later. But this game mode is probably my favorite game mode, period, throughout this whole beta, throughout this whole game. Because it's like a good, it feels like Domination, Hardpoint, and Search and Destroy had a baby. You know what I'm saying? You got the two Hardpoint zones, but they don't move. Like Domination, the zones don't move. And then you have a limited amount of lives. It's not necessarily one life, but you have limited lives. So that makes you have to play a little, you know, try not to die a lot, you know. Notice the games where I don't die as much in the gameplays is when we win rounds and when, you know, when we do well in the Control mode. You know, that game, I died 2 times the whole time. And I took away 35 total tickets or lives away from the other team, whereas I only died twice. So I was a very big asset to our team in that game. So it can get a little sweaty, you know. Everybody's trying to keep their KD up, trying not to die too much. But if you're a decent player at the game, if you know how to play Call of Duty, you know how to navigate a Call of Duty map, you know how to move around in Call of Duty, you're going to do, you know, pretty well. I mean, I did. So, I don't know. This is one of the best parts about Black Ops 4. My nose is stuffy, boy. Anyway, there's only one real gripe I have with this game, okay? And it's like kind of bad, but it doesn't really bother me. But it's bothered some of the people that played the game with me and made them not really want to play the game anymore. A lot of the reskinned weapons, you know, they got the ICR back in the game. You know, they've got the Vesper back in the game. A lot of the weapons a lot of the stuff feels reskinned. Even the specialists, a lot of the same specialists are here. Some of them with different abilities, some of them not. I mean, I've been using the Annihilator. The Annihilator is the exact same thing from Black Ops 3. It's the same thing. It's just the weapon model for the revolver itself looks a little bit different. But even the shot coming out, it looks exactly the same. Everything looks exactly the same. The default pistol, the Strife in this game, has the exact same reload animation as the MR6 from Black Ops 3. It's just, it seems very lazy. I feel like they didn't really put a lot of time. They focus more of their time into stuff like Blackout and Control and Heist and a lot of these maps, which I don't really have a problem with. But a lot of people will have a problem with it. They're going to call Treyarch lazy. They're going to... And in a way, it is lazy, but... You know, they are releasing the game early, if that counts for anything. And I don't know. I think that's really the only bad thing about this game. But anyways, that's all for today, guys. That's my first impressions. You saw my first gameplay of Black Ops 4. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe.
That's it. That's why you don't talk.